Hey guys. Hey, how y'all guys doing? Welcome to Cartoons and Cereal. This is our Saturday morning recap podcast of some favorite shows that we might have watched when we were kids. It might not necessarily been on Saturday morning, much like this show. No, tonight. Last week we did, or the first week we did Dungeons and Dragons from 1983. That was kind of a group choice. Over the next couple of weeks, we're going to get some individual choices from the folks at Brothers Comics and others. Brother Beavis is the choice up this week, and he picked G.I. Joe, an American hero. Say what's happening, Brother Beavis.
Hey, what's up? Yo, Joe.
Yo, Joe. So this is much like, and when we get to my show, I am going to get crushed, but I'm going to save that for when it happens. This is a defend your dissertation situation here, as you pick a show that you feel that will be good before you actually go in and watch it. Why did you pick GI Joe?
Well, I was trying to steer clear of some of the other ones. I know for a fact that Thundercats is god awful.
Yeah.
So probably like the big three for me would have been like Thundercats, Transformers, and GI Joe. So
Mhm.
I went with GI Joe.
Yeah, and I said to you before we started recording, I really never watched this show. This was an after school show for me, and I just generally skipped it. It was usually
Mhm.
on in between something that I wanted to watch, or before or after it. And so it would be on and I'd be watching it, air quotations, but I never really got into it. And we're at a certain age where the GI Joe resurgence, when this cartoon comes out, which we'll get to here in the slides in a bit, we were a little bit old on that one. We were like on the tail end of that, but you know, we understood the popularity of it from before. Our people that are a little bit older than us, GI Joe, Kung Fu Grip, like all of those types of things, like we knew how popular it was, or I knew how popular it was. But did you get into the action figures and that stuff
Oh,
too?
yeah. I had I had a paper out fueled action figure addiction.
Okay.
Like, and I was looking at the timeline, right? So I had a bunch of Star Wars stuff. I had a bunch of Star Wars action figures, and I had a few of the sets and whatnot. But I
Mm,
I, I think it was like '82 is when GI Joe was coming out, and that was the Return of the Jedi stuff was coming out, and there were a few cool Return of the Jedi figures, like the stuff at Jabba's. So there was Lando with the
mm,
disguise and Leo with the disguise, and the skiff dudes were pretty cool,
right.
and like the speeder bike guy was pretty sweet. But
Yeah.
for the and then you had Jedi Luke was the shit. Um, so but then like they came out, GI Joe came out, like, and even before the Kung Fu Grip, they just had like the robot elbow hinges, and it was great. I had like this Jeep with it came with a driver, and then I think I probably had like all the first edition like regular ones, and then I had to go get them after they re-released them with Kung Fu Grip. I had to go get them. Yeah,
Nice.
they had mailaways for that shit. You could get
Oh
like
God.
you could if you sent in like five things, you got Cobra Commander was the first, and then like Baron Blood. Yeah, I had a gang of GI Joes, dude, and they could
Wow.
once they had the Kung Fu Grip, then they could wrestle, and then it was on because then it was like, worlds collide.
Yes. and
But
as
that was
I,
like 2 years before the cartoon, and a
yeah.
lot of and I think there was immediately the comic, but a lot of the main characters of the cartoon didn't really come in till like 80, like 83, 84, like almost like the third wave of second and third wave of the action figures.
And you mentioned the comic book, and we'll get to that here in a second. If you didn't know, you'll know here in a little bit. GI Joe essentially set cartoon set up to sell toys, much like Secret Wars, which we talked about, a long time ago on that podcast as well. We being manipulated by the toy cartels to go buy toys that by putting things on Saturday morning cartoons. But before
That
we get
shit
to
worked.
GI Joe, yeah, before we get to GI Joe, we got to talk a little bit of cereal. So on the first episode, we talked a little bit, as we are older folks, we can't be out raw dogging sugar cereals anymore. Like that's just not a thing. At least not a consistent thing. You might catch a super sugar cereal here and there, but as an overall rule, probably not a great idea. So before we get started on GI Joe, I want to talk healthy cereals then and now.
Hmm.
So every once and then, you know, my family would be like, "Hey, stop eating all that sugary ass cereal," and they would try to sneak in something healthy. And generally speaking, that would wind up being raisin bran in this house or my
Yeah,
house. You know, it's like it's got bran and a poop. It's got raisin, which is sort of a fruit, I guess. And you know, like eat your raisin bran, eat your raisin bran. We never had like regular Cheerios or anything like that. They might try to sneak in like a regular corn flake,
mm.
not frosted, you know, or a special K. That was something that would happen in my house from time to time.
We would get
Uh,
Rice Krispies, but I would
no,
put like a solid heaping 2 to 3 tablespoons of sugar on it,
yeah,
so where there would be like a sludge on the bottom.
yeah, yeah,
I'll see your healthy sugar, raise healthy cereal, and raise you a quarter cup of sugar. I'm getting it
yeah,
one way, damn it.
yeah, exactly.
What
No,
about like a? Did you say Special K?
yeah, we had special
Yeah.
K every once and then, you know. And now, like, if I try to get a healthy cereal, the shit comes back to the front. It's generally Raisin Bran. I'll buy a box of Raisin Bran, and then I'll go buy like a box of them individually wrapped raisins. Okay, so if you eat sugary cereals now, let's say you eat like Lucky Charms, there ain't no chimes in them fucking cereals no more, man. It's all cloves or whatever the fuck. So you're really eating something sugary, but you're not getting that. So raisin bran ain't no different. You know, you pour a box of raisin bran, ain't but like damn 7 to 10 raisins in there. So I'll take a box of the raisins and dump them in there to give me some extra something in there to eat with all them trees that's in there. And so that's pretty much it. I mean, we eat Cheerios now, but it's usually honey nut. I can't go like full like regular Cheerio. That's not gonna
Multigrain is ours. That's because it is kind of sweet.
happen.
Honey nut, I like honey nut, but it's a little too much. But the thing I never liked about Raisin Bran was the flakes were just like there was nothing to them. Like they
Yeah.
would disintegrate, and the raisins, I don't know. Like I I couldn't go extra raisins. Like I can't eat a lot of raisins anyway.
Oh,
Plus
yeah.
they were all yeah. So
I,
but I like some of the they weren't exactly knockoffs, but like the next generation raisin cereals would have
mm.
like more of a flake or crunch or something to go
Oh
with
yeah,
it.
like
Those
the
are yeah.
yeah, they did like a honey nut raisin bran or something like that. No,
Mhm.
I
Raisin nut crunch or some bullshit
yeah,
like that. So yeah.
no, I keep it old school. Yeah, I get the regular one, and I mean, again, as you get older in your age, man, I need to poop.
Yeah.
So let me
Did I
eat this.
mention cinnamon life? I've been eating that lately.
No,
You gotta eat it quick though, because like
yeah,
as soon as that milk hits it, it
yeah,
starts to turn. You're racing the clock because it's about to turn into like oatmeal porridge or some shit. So yeah, but it's good. That's my yeah, and I have been definitely waking up in the middle of the night, be like, get the cereal at least and do something useful while I'm up. So
nice. Yeah, I just yeah, I really cannot. I can't raw dog cereal anymore,
mhm.
man. I cannot like that. That's just
Yeah,
it's the path to destruction. It's somewhere in this house, usually a bathroom. So yeah. All right. So let's get to GI Joe, y'all. In happier times when I could eat cereal out the box, in the box, whatever. Like it's a thing. So cartoons and cereal, part two. If you're on YouTube, you can follow along. I think there's 10 total slides here. As I told Brother Beavis before we started, there's a gazillion characters on this damn show. I used a wiki that said, "Hey, these are the most 10 popular characters from this particular cartoon." So those will be the voice actors that we go over before we get to the watch along portion where we watch the pilot episode of this particular show. All right. So here we go. Factual information via wiki, and wiki's never wrong, right? All right. September of 83 to October of 86. 95 episodes in two seasons. God
yeah.
damn.
Yeah. If you think about like remember the X-Men cartoon, like they couldn't get that. They couldn't get like one out in 6 months. And they were cranking out 95 of these. I saw that too. I was like, that's a shitload of episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they aired it in 2 seasons because it was like what would that be? It's like 9 to 10 weeks of like 5 episodes each.
Hmm.
But yeah, I always liked the 5-parters too. Those were the shit. And this
I
is
said,
this
yeah. Again, I watch very little. So this was a daily show. Then this wasn't a
yeah.
Saturday morning show. Okay,
No,
that's what I thought.
yeah, this was after, and I don't know if there was something else that was on with it, but yeah, it was definitely like, and I used to always get home like 10, 15 minutes after it started or some something like that. So yeah, I'd be running home to try and get GI Joe, watch GI Joe.
Lord. Cartoon created by the toy giant Hasbro with the help of Marvel to sell some toys and some comic books. So this looks like when we get to the watch along portion, the art or the animation looks a lot like Pride of the X Men.
Hmm.
The studio look. I mean, at least the first couple episodes. I'm sure once they started cranking them out, they couldn't get that much
I think
labor.
it stayed consistent, and
Yeah.
the animation is great. Just because I rewatched some of this the other day, and I I think the animation is great, particularly like some of the jet fighting sequences and things
Hmm.
like that. Just like the rolling camera work on some of the aerial scenes. I got no complaints about the animation.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good show. I had the commercial here, but I don't think I can pull it up from the slide that started that. I remember those commercials, and again, I said this I think before we started recording that the television show Community did a complete spoof on this show with the animation, but it also talked about the cartoons that came or the commercials that was trying to sell the toys that led into this particular cartoon. So again, highly recommend you go check out that episode of Community. All right. So our voice actors, this is Duke, G.I. Joe. I forgot to write this dude's name on here for you. So yeah, there's Duke. He's the main character in this particular affair. He's the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Nazi, whatever that you want to put out in front. You have to tell me who your favorite character or characters are here. You won't see Snake Eyes on here because there's no voice because he never talked. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, so Duke, I always like Duke, but of like there's another character who I don't think we get yet called Flint, who I liked Flint better. He had a
Okay.
beret and like a sawed-off shotgun.
Nice.
But the issue with Duke is they transplanted a lot of particularly the Snake Eyes Scarlet romance onto Duke because Snake Eyes couldn't talk. So yeah. So he did like culturally appropriate Snake Eyes backstory, but I always like Duke. He's good.
I mean, you have to have somebody that's the leader. I think it's Michael Bell, as I'm looking this up online. Michael Bell. Sorry for not leaving his name up here, but there's Duke, one of the major stars of this particular cartoon. Christopher Latta as Cobra Commander. Okay. Now, what I remember about this show, the longer it went on, the less evil or intimidating Cobra Commander got. Like he became more and more kind of an over the top villain as opposed to somebody that you should take kind of
Well, but
seriously.
the I think part of it too was he got clowned by the GI Joe so many times that they started to turn on him. Like because whether it was Destro, Baron Blood, the Baroness, or whoever, they were always sort of vying for superiority. And then
Mm,
I think they genetically engineered like Serpentor, who's a terrible character, to replace him and whatnot. And so yeah, but
mm.
he did. He in part I think became more comical and less competent because he had just like stacked 95 losing plots together. He had like a Mike Boyette era losing streak against the Joes, and there was like half a dozen main eventers trying to take his spot. So
Uh, we really think about that. There's 95 episodes of this show, and when we did Dungeons and Dragons in 3 seasons, I think they did 23 episodes.
23, yeah, I think.
Like, I mean, you have to wonder about the child labor that went
Yeah,
into
yeah.
to drawing this cartoon for
And
that
it's
many
not like it
episodes.
was Scooby Doo rolling backgrounds. Like
No, not at all.
they're like,
Like,
oh, they're
holy
fighting
cow.
in the desert again. No, this
Yeah.
is yeah.
Yeah, that's rough. All right. Bill Ratner as Flint.
Yeah,
Just
so he doesn't make it in here yet, but he was one of my favorite. He's another one of kind of the field commanders, but he was like second to Duke. So the theme of these consistently was, somebody gets kidnapped somehow, and then if Duke got kidnapped, Flint could take over, vice versa, or whatever. So yeah, Flint was cool, and Flint was hooked up with Lady J, and she was pretty awesome too. She pole vaulted all over shit with her javelin. So
nice. When we get to the watch along portion, they the first 10 episodes, we're only gonna watch the first one. But man, MacGuffin. Good
well, yeah,
lord.
because they had to they would always have to like find the five parts of whatever. All the five parters were like, we got to race to get these three things before Cobra does, and then
Yeah.
they would. they would get them all, but then they would somehow Cobra would steal them, and then they would have the final battle. So.
Yeah. All right. So Flint. All right. Arthur Burns as Destro. Okay. So let's tell this story on this side because you know this was coming. Black people was like, "Oh, Destro black."
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like, but then when you look at it, it was like, well, I guess they did give him some overt black features too. Like you tell from the voice, it's kind of like Panthro,
Yeah.
you know, on that other show. Like, man, that sounds black. Or then on what's the other show? It was like, damn, that sounds like Scatman Carruthers. Um, like black people just like knew
Oh yeah, that
automatically.
was
Like,
Jazz on Transformers or something like
yeah,
that.
it was like, man, hey, hold on a second, man. Like,
Yeah,
whatever. So,
Destro was cool. I mean, obviously a pimp. I
yeah,
mean, look at that necklace, the
yeah,
bare
the pendant.
chest. Yeah, he's Destro was great.
Yeah, and again, my history says that like he's kind of stayed consistent, whereas
Hmm.
Cobra Commander was like a complete joke, like as it gone on. But again, I don't remember much about it, but I do remember I was like, oh, Destro's definitely black. All right, B.J. Ward as Scarlet.
Yeah,
Okay.
the quintessential crossbow shooting, femme fatale of the Joes. Awesome, classic. She
Mm,
was the in the first line of toys. She was the only female, and then
okay.
hopefully Stalker is on this list. He was the black guy.
I think we're getting there.
Yeah,
Um, I think my redhead love might have started here though.
that's possible. I think that yeah, that's
Yeah, it may have started here. Remember, I don't watch that GI Joe, but hey, hold up.
what's up,
Yeah.
girl?
How you doing, Scarlett? Let me watch this. Well, I remember, and we kind of were going to get into this at the end. I remember, everything comes back to the '80s, and so they made these GI Joe movies with shouts out female perspective Taterhead Tatum as a star, and The Rock, I believe, was in some of them. I didn't see him, of course. And I think there was a Wayne in one of them as well. And I
Yes.
remember the actress that they cast with Scarlett. I was just like, I ain't gonna watch this movie, but I'm gonna like look at that part of it. But yeah, like I definitely remember her. Uh, doesn't inspire cosplay as much as the other one that's going to be coming up here very
Oh,
soon.
the Baroness.
So, oh boy, it is inspired cosplay. And yeah, the Baroness,
Yeah.
Morgan Lofton. Yeah. Mm,
Yeah, and she did have more of a damn, she was great. She did have more of a role in those new movies because they
okay.
set it up like her and Duke were former. See, Duke kept stealing everybody's relationships because this was Destro's girl in the comic, I
Oh,
believe.
really? Okay.
Yeah, and then so Duke had a relationship with her, and Duke stole. Duke needs to get his own girl.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at the whole lot of them when they like run them out on the character, or whatever, it really gives you like a whole village people ass theme.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and so
Well, the
that might have been something why I didn't really mess with it either. But yeah, I never got into it.
The first run was funny because there was like basically four heads, four bodies, and four legs, and then they just put them together in different combinations.
Right.
So there was like a bearded one, then with the three different paints, and there was a no beard, three different paints, and then there was this weird fathead looking dude with three different paints. So
Oh,
it's kind of funny. But so then when they started expanding the line, then you get more kind of like they had traditional army roles, and then they
mm,
became like specialists in certain things to where they had like a football player and a minesweeper and
nice.
they had some people like gung ho that you see over your shoulder there was just a
Yeah.
marine and roadblock, you know.
Mm.
But then they started to run out of ideas and get more and more niche sort of
And,
specialties. So
and again, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see that GI Beavis has Sergeant Slaughter on there, where he came onto the cartoon as an I think they would call it now downloadable content as a DLC character, and like it was this tie-in when he's still with WWF, I guess at the
yeah.
time. And it was just like a thing, and I remember that part of it, like, oh, Sergeant Slaughter's on that, and I'm like, oh, okay, but I don't really watch WWF either, so it really wasn't a pull for me.
Yeah, and it's funny because Sergeant Slaughter, the GI Joe, had a slightly different build than Sergeant Slaughter, the wrestler, at that time. I think
Yeah,
he might have had a
slightly.
different haircut. Yeah,
Yeah,
there was a
slightly.
passing similarity, but they were not. Is there was definitely not a 100% faithful representation
Yeah,
of
for sure.
Sergeant Slaughter.
But yeah, Baroness, if you are a
But that
10-year-old.
always felt like hot shotting. I never really like. I
Oh, for
kind of put
sure.
him up there as a joke, but I was like, This Sergeant Slaughter ain't no damn GI Joe. Duke kick his ass. I probably had some
And
stupid
he's living
hate
off
for
that
him.
teat still. Like, I don't know. I think people probably know him more for the cartoon than
Which is
they do
crazy.
for him
Yeah,
wrestling at
yeah.
this point. Because G.I. Joe, I mean, obviously not as big an imprint as WWE, but he was presented completely as a joke pretty much from
Yeah.
1990 something,
I don't
until whenever.
I don't know if he actually puts the Cobra Clutch on anybody in the cartoon.
Yeah.
That's
Wasted opportunity.
yeah.
Yeah. But again, if you go to comic conventions, Baroness cosplay is top shelf for the most part. Um, if you know Brother Beavis and I, if you put a dark haired woman with glasses on in front of us, is pretty much a wrap. Doesn't really matter. Anything else is pretty much over, man. It's pretty much, yeah, that and Black Cat is a wrap. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's over. So, oh, Kenny Holiday as Roadblock, kind of a famous black actor for a lot of things. I think he was on In the Heat of the Night, um, like the original one or something like that. But yeah, Roadblock.
And I think that this is the character that The Rock played in the second
Yes,
movie.
it is in that movie. Right, correct. Because what Taterhead was Duke, I would
Yeah.
assume. Yeah.
Yeah, and they
Okay.
killed off the original cast. They killed off the cast of the first movie in like the first 5 minutes of the second movie
Of course they did. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again,
because The
if,
Rock had to take over another franchise successfully.
and ruin it into the
Yeah,
ground.
yeah,
Mm, yeah, consistent. Again, as young black youth or whatever, we didn't, have a whole lot. Again, like, oh shoot, I know Panther was black, but he ain't really black. They're all cats or whatever. Like, oh, I know, yeah, like the freaking, Hong Kong Fu is Scatman Crothers, but he's not really black. He's a dog. It's like, so, having a black character on a show was be meaningful, but this is just a show that I didn't really watch.
yeah,
And again, let's keep it 100. I think what Roblox was, a tertiary character at best.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
hard for me to even find like pictures of him, on the show that wasn't like in a group shot.
He was a solid mid Carter.
Yeah, 2.5 priority.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. Special on 10. All right, and then here we go, y'all. So the first that we talked
So
about from before. Go ahead.
so let me
Who did
drop.
I
So
miss?
you didn't bring up Stalker,
Okay.
who's you kind of see him up there in the front. So he
Mm-hmm.
was interesting because he was one of the unique characters because he had his own sculpt, he has a beret, he
Mm-hmm.
was camo print, and he was like his description was pretty sweet. So he was I mean I think he was probably mid card status as well, but I think he probably got a little bit more storytelling than Roadblock, but he was pretty good. Obviously, Snake Eyes was
Yeah.
clearly the best, but from the the voice acting, and we won't get to it, but like in episode 3, uh, one of the MacGuffins they have to get is radioactive, and like uh, Snake Eyes like causes a cave in or chases somebody out so he can get the radioactive thing, and then he's like all glowing, and he wanders across the Arctic and gets saved and comes back. So
Mm.
he's that's some solid stuff for 1983 12-year-old, you know saves, sacrifices himself and
uh,
exposes himself to all this deadly radiation.
nice.
He's so pretty strong.
I I'm telling you, man, I could not get into it. Like I watched Transformers, like,
Yeah.
and again, if you, I've gone back and watched that, or one of those, and I'm sure you've done this too. I'm gonna show this to my kids when they were younger. And they like, fuck is this? Like,
Clown.
but this
Yeah.
was cool when I was like, yeah, it's not. And and so Hasbro between and I sat in Spider Verse the other day and watched the trailer for the new Transformers, Beast Wars, or Rise of the Beast, or whatever like that. GI Joe has had its movie.
Hmm.
Like I think they've done their best to kind of convert these properties into live action things with, I'd probably say, middling success. Transformer movies made a whole bunch of money, but they're terrible. And GI Joe, I think, got two movies, like, and
I,
then they got like a spinoff for Snake Eyes, which I
yeah.
think came out like around pandemic time. And like it's just kind of 2D characters that you're putting out there, trying to do something with it. But I don't know if there's an audience for that version. The nostalgia that we would get from it is going to be like, yeah, but why are you putting freaking The Rock in this?
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? But the Transformers, because it's robots and it looks really cool, might be better than like a live action human being thing. So,
Yeah, it's kind of hard to like you say, they just become another military outfit. It's kind of hard. So you would really have to lean into Cobra to be successful, and they completely botched Cobra Commander
mm,
in the new one. And then Destro was okay, but he didn't have. It was Christopher Eccleston, and he didn't care. He was just in it for a paycheck.
yeah.
So that really wasn't, that wasn't going to drive it. And then they made the love story with Baroness and Duke. So yeah, I think you would have to lean into Cobra to make this successful, but it's going to be hard to distinguish it from any other army movie or
Mm,
special forces, Expendables, whatever.
right.
Yeah, I don't know.
And you can't lean into in 2023. You can't lean into the jingoism
Yeah,
strongly as you could have, hell, even probably 10 years ago,
yeah,
where you could make a whole bunch of Muslims terrorists or some shit like that and make that the mission that the Joes go
yeah.
on and just start blowing like Muslim people up.
Well,
Like
they
you wouldn't be
never
able to make
they
that
I think
movie.
they did a reasonable job. Like they never really like coded Cobra onto any particular nationality, and then
Okay.
and
Just evil.
then like leaned into the tropes. They were just like international bad guys trying to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
All right. So as we alluded to before we get to the watch along, the first 5 episodes are called The Mass Device. And they were going to be a jump off for the show, and then to be like they could show those 5 things like into a movie. And then there was another 5 episode arc after that, The Revenge of Cobra, also that they wanted to, kind of binge into a movie. And again, according to Wikipedia, that didn't really happen, but those episodes are out there of the 10 of the first 95 episodes. That's just, I think what they said the threshold for syndication was like 55 episodes or something like
wow,
that. So, like, that's why they were churning them out, is because they knew they could just run this on a loop from time to time. And that was the thing too. I was just like, man, like, again, this is going to show an age or whatever. One, like Saturday cartoons obviously really don't exist anymore on like kind of local TV. But two, like all of these like local stations at the time had on different cartoons at the time.
yeah,
And for us it was like, oh, pre-cable or whatever. Oh, turn on channel like 22, channel 2, channel 6, or whatever. And cable, like, oh, channel 19. So like everybody had on these different cartoons, so you could literally walk in the door at 3 o'clock from getting home from school, not doing a lick of homework. Maybe that might have been me more than you. And to like 6 o'clock and just not watch nothing but cartoons.
yeah,
And like, I mean, that's just, a completely different time. And this is on a weekly school day. Whereas if you turn on a local station now at 3 o'clock, they're showing the news or freaking Oprah. Well, I guess Oprah ain't on anymore, but Maury Povich or something like that. It's just a completely different time or whatever. And again, you can turn on Cartoon Network or Boomerang or whatever the hell and see a cartoon, but it's just not, I guess, I don't know, as easily accessible. I don't know. We're probably just being old, or I'm being old. All right, y'all. So we're gonna get to this watch along portion. Brother Beavis is gonna be watching along on his tablet device. I am going to watch along um on my computer here. It's about 22 some odd episodes. And again, on YouTube, it should not get clipped. Now, before we get to it or whatever, we do have to talk about the theme song, because that's probably the most impressive and endearing thing of this show,
yeah,
possibly, would you
yeah,
say? Because
yeah,
it's amazing.
yeah, yeah. He'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. I bet I could sing the entire
Yeah,
thing right
I
here.
mean,
But yeah,
it's an amazing
yeah,
cartoon theme song. It has to be way up there in terms of that, because if you know, like when you hear that on, Like, I mean, everybody knows the chorus, man. So, yeah. All right. So if you're gonna pull that up, get to GI Joe. If you're looking at it on YouTube, it's the Cobra Strikes, the Mass Device Part One. And again, it's on the official GI Joe channel, so it should not get clipped when I post this to YouTube. So we'll go on the. I'm gonna open mine before I go on the 3, 2, 1 count. So
You got to get
'cause I
through
know I'm
some
at
Meet Grammarly
commercials.
Go,
yeah,
your
there we
go-to solution for getting quality work done quickly.
go. Down. So let's see what commercial I get. Hey, it's a generative AI, whatever that is. So Grammarly.
Grammarly.
I'd been watching this before. I gotta skip back. Hold on. Gotta go all the way to the beginning. I gotta get this theme song in. All right, so we're at the beginning there, brother Beavis. We're good on the 3, 2, 1 count.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. I got another ad. Come on. Serious
Yo,
right now?
Joe.
Yo, Joe is right. Hold on. Let me get through this ad. Skip, skip, skip. All right, here we go.
A real American hero.
Here we go. There we go. And go. G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe. Amazing. Yeah.
Stalker comes in with his in a jetpack.
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
like the idea that they have to explain all of it to you as well.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's good guys and bad guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's something that we talk about consistently about, making sure that, good guys and bad guys have to exist in these situations. I'm going to turn the sound down on mine.
G.I. Joe is the code name for America's daring, highly trained special
You know, my
mission force. Its purpose to defend
my
human
uncle
freedom against
Jimmy was
global
way into
terrorist
this as a youth,
organization.
and
Huh.
so he had some of the toys when I was a kid, but I never messed with any of this stuff.
Yeah, like I said, I had quite a bit of this.
One of my biggest beefs with this whole thing was my. You know what? I think this actually has the commercials in it, like from '83.
Huh.
So if you lift their head up every couple of lines, you'll be like, "Oh my god!" I mean, the animation's amazing. Like,
Yeah.
again, I can't believe that they beat all those monkeys into drawing this because there was no way that they could get this out.
I like how Snake Eyes doesn't warn him. He just gets down.
Nice.
Yo, the jargon is pretty hilarious. I'm gonna kick the mustard out of that crazy hot dog, is what he says. Yeah.
Yeah.
But who is this hot dog? Bacteria brains.
Come down and let's discuss your future as a mental
That's his
patient.
call.
No, he's insulting
come on,
her.
Duke.
Mm.
Where's your spirit of adventure?
Yeah,
That you
that
made
redhead
a
thing
man.
probably started here.
Certainly did. By that much.
I mean, to be fair.
Something's coming in below our radar level.
He's got a commercial.
Well, I know this was one, and this is me being nitpicky, even at 13 or 14. I'm like, how are they shooting all these like the Cobra dudes couldn't hit nobody,
Yeah,
man?
there's no I think there may be an episode or two where somebody actually gets hurt, and that's sort of like the A-Team.
Yeah.
I mean, like the one time Mouth got hurt or whatever, and they were holding, it is a little comical. They have an extensive arsenal of weapons, and
Yeah. All right. Oh, look
they
at
can
Duke.
blow stuff up, but
Hey, why didn't you
I know I saved you, girl, but
Didn't you read my green
you have to, you know what I'm saying?
we
It's the
This
don't
is
need
giving
to rush
very
back
much
out to battle.
Yeah, this is giving Pearl Harbor here. But yeah, the animation's amazing. How we get 95 episodes of this and only one episode of Pride of the X-Men? Seems kind of wrong.
Yeah. Why did they make Pride of the X-Men? I mean, yes, that was a pilot, but it seems like was it to sell the arcade game?
I think so. I don't want to pick that as my show because there's only one of them.
So we have Baron Blood here is like probably the Scott Norton of NWO White.
Yeah, oh, God.
he was a mail away, I think.
Mm.
But he was like another arms dealer. I'm like, why? Like, Destro is the arms dealer. What do we need Baron Blood for?
Mm. Yeah, because I'm so impressed by the animation. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we watched Dungeons and Dragons, which was paint by numbers essentially.
Yeah.
And whereas you see the depth of this, I mean, they really put some money behind this. All right,
We
I got a commercial.
are water, reaching new shores,
Hold on,
alive with
skip
Oh, I
energy.
got
ahead.
another one. Mosquito season.
All right, here we go. I'm back.
Oh, great Cobra! We
Now,
await
what's the
thy
deal with
bidding.
Cobra? Like, why is this
Aside.
some sort of like? I mean, is it really just some sort of ancient evil or whatever that they,
Superstitious fools didn't even
decided
wait for
to
their
worship, or how did that
pay.
even work?
Now,
No, I think
open
so.
the
Like, I think it's just like here. This is Destro like just using superstition to to mess with people. I think it was just imagery. Now they do like later. I mentioned like Serpentor. They lean more into like kind of snake cult, snake god type stuff. It's just a motif.
The shipment
It's a
was
choice.
difficult to assemble,
That's
and
true.
I lost more time climbing to
What's
this
up, player?
ridiculously melodramatic.
He did. They did give him a Hitler little mustache though.
Yeah. It's the reflection.
Mm.
Now, what have you brought me?
They really Nah, I don't even want to spoil that. Yeah, this the MacGuffins.
Yes. Truly exotic substances, Destro.
And this is
Yeah.
very Transformer S too.
Destro was good for making a multi-part death ray that needed 5 consumable
These three
things.
elements
Like he was perfect for
device, and with it I
a
shall
weekly
bring
special.
the world needs.
Will it reach its target? If it goes
He
astray,
hasn't
we'll
slept
look
in
like
years
fools.
apparently with them
No.
bags under his eye.
No.
This will
Look at them. Look at the
guide
Hitler
us.
stash.
The perfect homing device. One just like it is now being placed in the target hole.
Like
Then we shall not fail.
again, this is an early. Obviously, this is the pilot episode.
It is the first
I'm telling
step
you,
towards
when I
Cobra
turned this shit on,
domination of
all
the
I saw was a bunch of red
universe.
lasers shooting and missing everybody. And I was just like, why can't they hit one person? Not one? Now look, I got the. If you look on mine, look at this. I think I got the commercials. No, I don't. Dang it! I know I saw one earlier. Dang it! Now back to GI Joe.
Sorry to send for you without explanation, Duke. Especially in the aftermath of Cobra's sneak attack.
Let me get the
But I got
spy
a real
talk.
challenge for the G.I. Joe team.
I presume your request.
Now,
for
is this
G.I. Joe
you
was
start to listen
filed
to the voices? That's the
correctly,
voice of
General Flagg.
Mystique.
Form BX257, requisition
This
order
lady here.
MZ19
From
in triplicate.
Friday the X-Men?
Yeah, I know
This is
from
Major Juanito Hoover from the Office of Blood
the
Tip
X-Men
and
the
Accounting
animated
at
series.
Oh, really?
Pentagon.
I think so.
I'm supposed to keep her
It also feels like
Bad
this was
chance.
like very
This
much
is as far as we go.
like leaning
But
into the
behind
18.
those
Like this would have been
silo
about
doors
the
is a new
same
space
time, right?
satellite of incredible
That
capability.
sounds about right.
My mission
Yeah.
is to ensure
Yeah,
its
this
It's
is
just
like
like a
a bigger
cartoon
18.
version of the A-Team, or the A-Team kind of ripped off the idea of GI Joe and then make it into this. You know, you got your one little leader that kind of organizes everything. You know, the villains are nebulous essentially week to week. You know, but kind of some backing by the government, but also the government kind of working against them too. That jazzy music.
The porn soundtrack.
Yeah. I mean, Snake Eyes was the shit. I remember that. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, Snake Eyes is cool, but and I think, and now that's a character that can talk about cosplay from a different reason or whatever. But yeah. Boop. Look at this coordination, sir. Look, they're about to attack the Sentinel base. Oh wait,
Yeah.
nope, wrong one.
Yeah. So Stalker's he's one of the horsemen.
Yeah.
Stalker, Snake Eyes, Duke, and Scarlet. That's
Is
probably
Stalker racially ambiguous?
no. He's black.
He's black. Okay. Look at that explosion. Nice.
For dropping in, Stalker. Shall we do our thing?
No, what thing you talking about?
Shall we do our thing?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, that's
Snake
gonna
Eye.
get me in trouble. Talking,
Yeah.
talking about like that white girl.
Hey, Snake Eyes, you sit here and watch.
The notion that the G.I. Joe team could free choose
We'll be
defense
right
Already
back.
cucked by
Cuckold
Duke
Snake
anyway.
Eyes.
We're gonna
That
get
was
the
a
shocking
Cinderella figure
reveals
as well.
later.
Yeah. No.
Well done.
Yeah.
But your success only
Cuckold
proves
Snake Eyes.
security
A send
here
away
is
figure.
adequate.
You just lost me, sir.
Brilliant commando work got 3
Yeah, I
of
have
you,
no
sir.
idea who this
But
lady's
it'd
going
take
to be.
dozens of men with heavy equipment to steal the satellite. A force
Shocking.
your size just
Yeah.
couldn't do it.
Why not show them the
Not being able to
satellite,
match up the
They look like
dialogue
they
with
could
the
use an
lips is kind of
education.
fun too.
Well,
Well,
okay. Let me show it to you.
and again, just as an aside, as this is going on, like this is why you can't show
Too
this to a
expensive for
child
what it
under the
does,
age of
however.
And just what does it do?
under the age of like
Ultimate
35.
relay star.
You just wouldn't
It can
get it. Like,
receive
you
and
know what I
send
mean?
the
Like, it
most
just doesn't
powerful
make any
energy
sense.
to
Like, why are they
anywhere at any
explaining
time.
this super complicated
Once it's
plot?
over,
Why don't they just like?
Precisely.
That
Now,
too.
let's tour
But
the
also,
front
it's just
and
like,
leave
I
your weapons
can't, like,
outside for
you know,
good
like, I
safety.
don't know if I told you
This
this
isn't a
story about
combat
my
mission.
children. Like, they can't watch a show with a laugh track because they're just like, I can't. Why are they forcing me to laugh in these situations? And I'm like, I have no answer to that question.
There was a time when
Commercial
summer's
for me
gifts filled
at the
us with
Biltmore
gratitude,
Estates.
when lighthearted laughter filled the
Algorithms.
air, and rolling green meadows.
Skipping.
Exquisite. Well, Destro.
Well, he's using his 3. He's got to consume his 3 consumables, so we go get more of them.
No, they're all gone. It misses. This is Pride of the X-Men. Now, but the animation studio. This is exactly the same.
Of pure
Not mad about this.
and send them here to us. Now, mass is ready.
Mass is ready.
I don't know what mass stands for. Did we already know?
My foot. You wasted millions of hard-stolen dollars. You
It's very also that relationship in with the the original Voltron. You know, between I can't remember the names, but you know the dude that would make the monsters and the dude that was trying to take over like the Voltron thing. It's like, hey, you know what? You suck at your job. You keep trying to do things that you suck at.
All right. They've got the troops.
Death Star's ready. That sound is awesome.
No, it's not possible.
Why is it not possible?
Look at all those lasers.
Mhm.
Oh. She took off her sorry, I'm a little bit ahead of you.
Yeah.
But
no. Yeah.
Takes off her disguise glasses.
Yeah.
Pulls off her mask. Puts
Yeah.
on her real glasses.
See.
The emergency doors are closing.
The hyperdrive is leaking. Oh wait, wrong show.
The satellite had to be raised into launch position by gantry elevators.
On target, Scarlet. We can position those elevators properly. We can lift the
This
silo
is really
doors
like a
right off
gig
their
that we
foundation.
probably should have got into as voice acting. We could do this shit forever.
Yeah. Well, I think was it one of the Peter Welker or one of the guys from the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. Like I saw someone was like he was the 3rd highest paid actor in history because he's been in like everything.
Yeah.
And that's a good gig.
Well, and think about it if it's like music contracts or other contracts or whatever. I mean, you get a check every time this shit goes on.
Like Tara
So-
Strong too. I know she's been in a gang of stuff.
Yeah. Like if it's on every single freaking day for however many years, I mean, you know, I'm sure those residuals ain't that terrible.
They're gonna ask you for a check here in a minute.
Yeah.
Destro's trying to get paid, son.
Mm-hmm.
The sign of an immature mind. I have mastered the device. Coordinates locked, temperature perfect.
Nice.
It's over, Baroness. You and
Yeah.
Major Blood step
Baroness,
out and lay down
please
your weapons.
give us more cosplay.
commercials. Dude.
I'm
Nice.
afraid our surrender has been cancelled.
Psych.
Not so fast.
So in the movies, Duke and Baroness were a couple.
I think so. They were a former couple.
Hmm. So she went dark, bad, that way.
Joe will return
Yeah.
after these messages.
And that's the other thing too. Like with these kids nowadays, they don't know how to like watch a show through a commercial. You know, 'cause they can like, you know, be on your phone for the 90 seconds that the commercial's on, or if it's on a DVR, they just, you know, skip through it or whatever. Like, no, you gotta sit through these terrible commercials. How are they gonna sell shit? Dude, offense. Keep rolling doubles.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this. Offense.
Oh,
To twitching legs. Offense. Oh, rushing.
gets the chop in the neck.
Take him to
That
the
did him in.
slave pens and prepare him
Yeah,
for sport.
they got
Right
slave
now we
pens,
have more
so
pressing
we might have some Noble Savage tropes coming in here in a minute.
Yeah, I mean,
As long as we have the
it's a given. You know, as we continue through these types of things, including our wrestling show, I just have to accept that this is what that's going to be.
orbit has been achieved. No one can stop Cobra.
No one can stop Cobra. No. Meanwhile, in Europe.
See, these there's a string of characters coming up here who are the sort of the original toy line, and they're just sort of like regular army dudes, but they get some screen time here. It's like Breaker, Flash, maybe.
Yeah.
Was his
I
farm
don't
in
know.
New England.
That's what I was. I mean, yeah. I mean, again, I don't think I didn't watch it because there were 1,000 characters. I just could not get into the show. Like, I just never got into it
Citizens of the
for
world,
whatever reason.
we have a power greater than any in the history of mankind.
French frogs.
And tremble.
This Death Star is fully operational.
This is but the first in a series of
I love the sound effects too. That kind of takes me back.
Yeah.
Surrender to Cobra at once.
Yeah, rock and roll is the blonde dude.
Oh, okay. Never heard of him. Commercial for me.
He I believe he used an M60, so he did have that going for him.
You have 24
Yeah.
hours. Cobra!
So we have to play the game here as we go through the characters that we had as it's finishing. We have to play the game MAGA No MAGA. Or is this everybody MAGA? Like Roblox ain't MAGA. Probably not. Roblox probably not.
No, yeah, you're right. I don't know. I was trying to think. Like
Can you
Duke,
understand me?
Duke.
MAGA.
Yeah. Yeah, Duke, MAGA. Let's see who was the Cobra Commander MAGA, definitely.
Do you have water?
Scarlet.
It's useless to speak with the slaves.
Potentially
Duke.
not MAGA.
Yeah,
They are
potentially not
mindless
MAGA.
creatures
I don't think
of the
Stalker's
Cobra
MAGA.
organization.
Yeah.
I don't
You
think
will
Snake
soon
Eyes
be
is
one of
MAGA.
them. After
Yeah,
you have
Destro.
Gung Ho
obtained
might be
the
MAGA.
Queen of
Yeah.
Sport.
Destro probably
Destro, I don't know. Destro's not running. Well, he would benefit from MAGA policies and administration, so probably.
Yeah.
Like he would like support it, but like he would support it in public, but then he would trash talk him, behind the scenes.
Yeah, for sure.
He's like, I'm just trying to get these kickbacks, yo. Trying to get these tax credits on illegal arms deals.
Shit, I think that was John Bolton they had tied up to that tree right there.
The stupid Joes fall for it again.
Oh no, not again!
They just these masks. They cannot. They need like some technology to see through
Yes,
little masks.
here we go. This. Look at all this. It's all the shooting.
Yeah.
They can't hit nothing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I always liked how they had like. Well, I guess they did change it up a little bit, but they they in a lot of cases have like regular looking guns, but
Tricky little serpents, aren't
they shoot
I don't know.
lasers.
I don't know if you could have a show like this right now.
I
with
was
all
thinking
that
about that
technology.
too. This is pretty NRA friendly.
Yeah, I don't think you could do it now
They're
either.
like, guns don't kill people. Haven't you seen GI Joe?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, this is a
like
lot of
windmills
gun.
kill people.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's
Oh,
a lot of shooting. Ah!
I got a little heady. Yeah, here, watch the guns
Look at
don't kill
home
people. Windmills
offense.
people.
Nice.
Gung Ho's about to get a double clothesline here.
Just pigs. Nice. It's a lot of shooting. I'm trying to think of like something that I mean, my kids are older now too. And I'm trying to think if they watched anything that had a bunch of shooting in it. You know, they wind up watching superhero shows, which I guess had some of that, but it wasn't. I don't know. I guess it's inherently okay because it's superheroes. I don't know.
You were working on the mass device? Yes.
Working on the mass device?
Enough to counter it is another mass device.
Then we've got to make one. Back to headquarters.
I can begin construction on the mass device.
Oh, the flyover areas of America, where people who shouldn't be making decisions live. Good times. That is John Bolton. Fuck you talking? Uh-oh. They got that thing on his head, like controlling him, like Silver, Quicksilver, and Scarlet Witch.
Welcome to the Cobra Arena of Sport, Duke. We are pleased you have agreed to participate in our games.
I'm looking at that. I think that Cobra symbol or whatever was the one used by the dodgeball people in that movie. Like the team with Flip Whitey or whatever his name was. I'm pretty sure that's the same symbol. Oh, no. No.
He controls him with a joystick.
On sale at Children's Palace.
Pretty much. He's like, let's turn this Atari into a torture machine. Oh, he made him bow. Dude can't bow.
Yeah. It's the laughing that gets me.
This guy, Conan the Barbarian, makes a surprise cameo.
Yeah.
Boy, I want to bow. The Elegante features in back-to-back
yes, exactly.
podcasts. I want to bow.
It's
basically him. Look at him.
Essentially. Terrible. Yeah, and again, this looks very much like, hey, you can get this Elegante figure to fight Duke at $9.99, or not $9.99 back then, but freaking 99 cents at Kmart.
G.I. Joe will return after these messages.
Oh, I thought that was it.
I think it is.
No, there's. Oh no, so yes,
the preview. Yeah, for the preview for the next episode.
I always liked the Frost.
I did
Arctic
too.
guy.
And at the time, who knew that they had already made a gazillion of these damn things before we saw it?
Cobra terrifies the world with the impossible capture of
Now, do they have the little lesson at the end of this one? I can't remember.
Oh, now that I don't know. That seemed like that was probably something that came out later, right?
Well, I mean, I think they had to have like a lesson on this stuff. They had to like pretend it was educational. So,
well, again, as wrapping up here, that was the downfall of friggin' cartoons. Was that thing that they had to have some version of education in there, and that's what pretty much ended it. Yeah, now you know,
and knowing is half the battle.
Yeah,
so I bet they got through the pilot and they're like, yeah, we can't sell this. This is like nonstop violence. They're like, what? Nobody died. Like, yeah, you guys shot for 22. You shot at stuff for 22 minutes. We can't put this on. They're like, well, what if we put like a lesson in, like, don't eat Tide Pods at the end of every one.
Well, I think the story I heard from before was that I think it was the EDI, the educational something or whatever. Like they could get money from the government.
Oh, if they
put something educational in it to kind of defer the cost.
And they're like,
So,
how else are we going to get these 95 episodes out? Somebody else got to
jeez
kick in.
Louise, we certainly weren't paying those poor children that drew it because that yeah, arachnoid, as my brother would say. All right. So on your rewatch, how do you feel about this show? You can still defend it?
I have no qualms about watching GI Joe now. Like it is over explanating, and it is MacGuffin quest, but I still think a lot of these characters are pretty cool. I still get a kick out of Cobra Commander's voice and like him getting clowned and stuff like that. So like the Yo Joe line or whatever. And
Yeah.
then, like you said, when we get in, there's some stuff I could do without, but the animation's great. It's generally fast paced. I could watch it. Like,
Okay.
I think I would just get bored and be like, yeah, this is kind of stupid after a while. But
Yeah.
it's not like,
It's not terrible. It's not Thundercats.
no, it's not.
Yeah. Like I feel that way about Dungeons and Dragons. I was like, you know what? After you see like 3 of them, I'm like,
Yeah.
I think I'm okay.
Once you have the formula down.
Yeah,
Now there
like,
are some like really cool ones. There's one where like a handful of them go like into some alternate future, and it's like this Days of Future Past thing. So there are some really cool ones, but most of them are just like
yeah. And like
MacGuffin
for
of the
this
week.
one, like when I'm watching it, I'm like, man, this is one of the reasons I was like, I cannot mess with this show for whatever reason. I could not get into this show. Could not. Like it was definitely a placeholder. Like when does GI Joe go off? Okay, bet I'm gonna watch Tom and Jerry, Looney Tunes, or whatever until Voltron comes on or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's that. And so I'm not picking Voltron as my episode. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna throw a curveball at y'all because I'm going to get clowned for comedy purposes. But like I guarantee you there ain't 95 Voltron episodes.
No.
Between lions or cars.
I think there might.
I bet there ain't half of them. Half of 95.
Well, was that also 5 days a week, or is it?
It was.
I thought they have at least like 65.
Yeah, but it seemed like there were a lot of them that. I mean, well, all of Voltron episodes back then are exactly the same. Oh, well, something happens. Let's form Voltron. Sword, kill it.
Yeah.
All right.
Form Blazing Sword.
Yeah, it was over pretty quickly. So, all right.
So there's one other GI Joe I wanted to mention as far as like the all timers. So in addition to the separately packaged action figures, there was 3 or 4 of them that came with vehicles, and my all-time favorite probably was his name is Clutch, and he drove the Jeep that had like guns on the top and had removable gas tanks or whatever. But so if all the characters had like a little card on the back to like give their rank and where they're from, and then they had like a little quote. So the quote on the bottom of Clutch's card reads, "He greases his hair with motor oil, rarely shaves, and chews on the same toothpick for months. Clutch still calls women chicks." So yeah, Clutch was my boy. I'm just throwing it out there. 12-year-old me was like, yeah, that's badass. So yeah, Clutch, add him to the list. I don't think he was in this at all, but he drives a pretty sweet Jeep.
Nice. So he shows up later. Did Clutch make the G.I. Joe movie?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, that's one of those things too, where it's just like, yeah, we can't put that particular, not necessarily Clutch, but we can't put this particular character in the movie. And also, like, I mean, yeah, G.I. Beavis cares about Clutch, but did anybody else, have the Jeep with the
the downside of all the figures that were packaged with the vehicles is, yeah, they had a vehicle, but they never came with like a gun. So then like they weren't strapped. So like if something broke out, they had to like, let me get my tank. They'd have to bring a tank to a gunfight. So a little awkward. Like you couldn't give him like an M16 or pistol or something. So, and worse, he had like a holster. He had like a pistol like molded into him, but like you can't draw that. What? Come on, son. So.
Well, and side story here too, like with the toys that came out with a lot of these things, and you'll know this too, that a lot of them, had those things where you could shoot out the missile or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and and then kids start swallowing them, and then they were like, yeah, no, we're not doing that no more.
Right.
Like, and I think a lot of my Battlestar Galactica stuff, a lot of my Star
Yeah.
Wars stuff, it started out as those things so you could shoot at people, and then people started swallowing them. Okay, hello, young people. Yeah, don't eat Tide Pods. That was really stupid because nobody told y'all to eat that. But also, don't shoot your Battlestar Galactica missiles at your brother's
Yeah.
or sister's
And
mouth
then
and have them
the
swallow it.
Battlestar Galactica ones are like spring loaded. They pop out like a quarter of an inch.
Yeah.
That was lame.
Yeah.
And then I think GI Joe they would have like if they had a rocket launcher, it would have rockets in it, but they wouldn't shoot out. You could pull them out or attach them inside a helicopter or whatever. But yeah.
That's playing back in the days, kids. No Call of Duty. All right. So we'll be back here for episode 3. That is going to be my episode. Like I said, I am going to purposely let us, particularly my brother, clown the hell out of me for an hour. We got some serial talk after that, and we'll kind of keep going through this through the summer. Like I said, we do got a couple of guests for this one. It'll be fun to kind of get some other perspectives outside of ours. All right, so as the cartoon and serial music starts to play us out, I'm the producer of this podcast. I'm signing off. Go ahead and sign off, brother Beavis. Good call. I might watch some GI Joe while I edit tonight.
All right, see you next time.
We'll see you guys later. Peace, everybody. Yo, Joe.